Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Poppin' It's D, about to react to this Choice TV vid. It's titled Black Child Stars Who Went Crazy, Mental Illness in Hollywood. Damn, I feel like there's a lot of them. Many of them. Let's see who he talks about in this vid, though. Let's watch.
Some viewers may find this disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hi, my loves. It's Destiny Choice, and you're watching Choice TV. So today's video, I really wanted to get on
We
here.
got eggs now,
and I want to
Choice,
talk about
bye.
black child stars that went fucking insane and crazy. Now, we all see the obvious ones that obviously go crazy, lose their mind, do the most irrational things nowadays.
I think I saw
And it
that.
comes on you. Legs this way, you go. And then
I know this is not funny to laugh at people with mental illness or drug abuse, whatever they got going on, but some things are just funny and it just is what it is, okay? This man is hilarious, okay? I've seen several clips of him on like TikTok and whatnot, and he's just funny. I just feel like he's naturally funny. So even within his mental illness and drug abuse and alcohol abuse, whatever he got going on, the comedy still comes out. So
because you said you like it.
Oftentimes, when people think about child stars that went crazy, they think of things such as MK Ultra and mind control, and these kids were put under chips, and then eventually they snapped and went crazy.
Why do you do that to that baby?
Which is a whole other video. I mean, Amanda Bynes even talked about this several years ago, back in 2013, when she had her big-ass meltdown. Amanda Bynes literally stated back in 2013, and I quote, basically stating that her dad did a lot of crazy things to her when she was a little girl. And on top of that, she ended up doubling back right after this Twitter rant, and she then tweeted, "My dad never did any of those things to me. The microchip in my brain made me say those things, but he's the one that ordered them to microchip me." But oftentimes, a lot of black child stars get casted away, and we don't care about
I kind of
them.
remember
There's
her.
movements
Was
trying to
she a
support
crackhead or
Britney
something?
Spears, Amanda Bynes, and many
She
more
was so
people.
pretty.
But
Who is
oftentimes,
this?
there's not a lot of movements to support a lot of these black child
That's not
stars
Orlando. Yeah,
who
who is
completely
this?
faded into obscurity and went
kinda
downhill.
look like Orlando
And today,
a
I wanted to bring a lot of these black child stars to light that most of us forgot about, don't know about, or had no idea spiraled out of control and went crazy. Mental illness is oftentimes tossed aside and disregarded by people of color because it is oftentimes seen as a weakness or an excuse to not be productive in society. But sometimes it creates a stigma in many cultures to repress your feelings, but as we all know, when you repress and neglect your mental health, it can manifest into many other things. I mean, look at the YouTuber It's Bami. It's Bami was a very popular YouTuber who blew up as a very young trans woman on the internet, was a teenager, was at the height of her career, doing super well, got a ridiculous amount of views, and was really successful. And then to see her now...
She reminds me of this boy I went to school with. I think I talked about him before. His name was Kenny. Where is he? What's her name? Anyway, yes. Kenny told everybody that he was pregnant, and we all believed him because he was very convincing. But I was in elementary, so I was stupid. But I'm like, wait, only girls can get pregnant. We definitely challenged it, but he told us like, no, you're wrong because whatever he told us, it was convincing, and we was like, oh. Maybe he's on to something. It looks dead on him. I wonder what Kenny is up to now.
Kind of fucking horrifying because
Kenny is probably Kenny, I'm
she's
sure.
been abused,
he
used. She even had.
And that's how you know. Like when people talk about how it's a choice, no, the fuck it's not. We were in elementary school. Like this was a little boy, and he knew off the bat that he liked dudes and that he wanted a baby. He wanted to be pregnant. He knew already. We were literally like in 4th grade. So,
your drug problem.
And I said sober life and all of this good stuff. And you guys was wondering like, what's going on? What was your problem? What was it? What was you on and all this type of stuff? I was on laced weed and didn't know it. Somebody that I loved in my family.
Oh my God. What is Bambi's real name? I do want to know.
To a place.
Obviously it ain't Bambi.
In a really weird place. And it was I got laced. And it was like the whole time of part of it. It was like so crazy. I was addicted. It was so crazy. I became an alcoholic.
She was really popular. Got famous at the age of 16 years old. Was really popular by the time she was 18 years old. Was doing her damn thing in her early 20s. And then she got to a point where she just stopped posting content consistently. And people would just be like, wait, what the hell? Then she got into a situation where she was in a toxic relationship that was public.
I know. Bro, I know niggas is not Trying to clown me.
Oh.
Fuck you, Ricky! You freaking bitch! Don't say that fucking bitch ass nigga on my motherfucking line. That fucking bitch made ass nigga. Nigga, you know what the fuck you did to me. This nigga made my life a motherfucking living in hell. I live in hell. Look at me. Have y'all ever seen me like this? Little ass fucking dumbass nigga. Broke as fuck. Bum crumb. You're a fucking crumb. Dumbass nigga. But I'm gonna see you guys later. And I hope y'all remember if you're not saying what the fuck you're saying. Bye guys.
And then, of course, the whole internet was dragging her because she was doing these weird storylines and she was dropping music, dissing her ex, and it was just ridiculous. And then she started recording her own mental breakdowns on camera, and it was like, what the hell?
Oh, that's a possession.
Oh my God, this makes me so... This is so humiliating.
And then it all makes sense now that she said that she was probably under the influence. Now, Bambi never specifically said what drug she was on, but she made it abundantly clear that she was on something, but she still to this day will not say what.
Let's get into it. I got laced multiple times. Multiple times, you guys. A lot of you guys don't know about envious and jealous-hearted people. I've been with guys who would literally want me to stop taking my hormone pills and would want me to detransition, all because it was some secret motive, it was some sick motive to where they couldn't be trans and they wanted me not to be because they couldn't put on a dress and it's sick. Hated guys who would cut my hair. Who cut my hair? Who cut my hair while I was sleeping?
And we even saw the public yet horrendous demise of the 90s actress and singer Maya Campbell. And even with the help of Ayanla trying to fix her life, she still sadly went down the wrong path. And oftentimes people can spot her walking around Los Angeles and completely acting irrational. Unfortunately, Maya Campbell was recently spotted in Atlanta, Georgia, begging people for change who recognized her.
Yeah, this ain't the place to be homeless.
I think I got $1 or $2 or something like that. And I ain't doing with it. That'll be okay? Yes, ma'am.
No. Ain't you Maya though?
I bring God for you at the same time.
You say what?
I said I bring God for you.
You thank God for me? But aren't you the actress?
Then we have the sad story of the young man, DJ Daniels. And I'm sure most of y'all remember him as the young man who played Michael Huey in 1998 on the D.L. Hewley Show. And he was so handsome, really adorable. He was at the height of his career, and everyone wanted a piece of him. He was in so many sitcoms. He probably was in almost every black sitcom back in the 90s and early 2000s.
Not every.
And, you know, you even saw him shows on, like, ER, and I remember I loved him in Sky High. And he stayed booked and busy.
I didn't
But
see him in a lot of
sadly,
stuff.
DJ Daniels went down a really dark and evil path. This is him before, this is him in the mid-2000s, and this is literally him now.
Okay. And what was your upbringing like in Compton?
Pops moved me out real quick. I was like 2, and he moved us to the IE, Rancho Cucamonga.
Okay.
Don't claim compliment.
With the whole acting thing, you know, because you're a child actor.
At
what point did you feel like, I'm going to take this seriously? And before you answer that, was it something that you wanted to do or something that your parents pushed you into?
Nah, it was the parents, you know what I'm saying? I'm just a little kid.
Yeah.
If y'all didn't know, DJ Daniels damn near almost did life in prison. Back in 2011,
What?
23-year-old DJ at the time was locked up in Joaquin County Jail in Stockton, California. Allegedly, he was involved in the stabbing of J.J. Lewis, who was 26 years old at the time, during a fight that broke out in the Chavitas restaurant in Stockton, California. Police say that DJ Daniels was considered a known gang member along with 2 other men who attacked Lewis and others. Investigators say the brawl spilled out into the parking lot where Lewis was stabbed again. The wounds were fatal and another woman was also stabbed, but fortunately she did survive. Now, he did mostly get scrutiny because he was mostly affiliated and he was present during the Stockton stabbing. Now, mind you, 1 person was killed and a woman was horribly, viciously attacked with a knife. So who really knows if he was involved or not? But what we do know is he was fortunately acquitted. So yes, he was acquitted because he had a really good lawyer. On top of having a great lawyer, D.L. Hughley plays a very big role on why he was able to get a little bit more sympathy. So D.L. Hughley showed up in court, and D.L. Hughley essentially told the judge that even though he's blood affiliated, that it shouldn't determine his future. D.L. Hughley was even in court, and D.L. Hughley even admitted that he himself used to be blood affiliated because D.L. Hughley grew up in L.A., and he did some things in his past that he wasn't proud of.
Did you kill a nigga? Did you stab him to death?
Gave this guy,
no,
DJ Daniels, a little bit more mercy. Same. So realistically, due to lack of evidence and due to all the testimony and due to the fact that there was not enough evidence to get him down, he was fortunately acquitted in the year 2012, and he no longer had to face jail time. And it's sad because DJ done fucked his whole face up by getting all those damn tattoos, and he even got damn near blackballed in Hollywood because of his image, and he essentially chose the streets over what could have been a long-lasting legacy.
So, what made you have that decision to start tattooing your face?
In my mind, I was done acting.
Oh, so you, at one point, you just said, I'm done.
By the time I wasn't doing my grades and stuff, and I wasn't getting no more gigs, and even my agents was like, all right, we ain't messing with you. I had already put it in my head, like, hey, I'm done with acting. I wasn't really getting the gigs that I wanted.
No,
it's really sad because, again, DJ Daniels was doing really well. He didn't come from hood shit. He didn't come from a rough life. He came from decent parents and a decent family that moved him away out of that life when he was really young. But unfortunately, he went crawling back. DJ Daniels, just like many other child stars, went down a dark path because of the company they kept, abusing substances, and many of them even had a deep desperation of trying to find normalcy amongst all the glitz and glamour. Because let's face it, Hollywood is a very demonic place filled with a lot of fakeness and predators. And even after seeing the Nickelodeon shit, the behind the scenes and the behind the set, all that stuff, and all these documentaries constantly coming out about Dan Schneider, you truly understand why a lot of these child stars say, F it, I'm not going back to Hollywood, I'm done with it, and I'm over it, because it really is a very dark place. You know, you really think that these kids are protected, living it up, playing with slime, doing so well, making so much money that a lot of us even envy them as children, and then you see them now, and you think to yourself, oh my God, who fucked you up? A great example of someone who came from a very wealthy family and barely even had to be a child star was someone like Tata Miller. If y'all didn't know, Tatiana Miller, who we all know as Master P's eldest daughter, one of his few eldest daughters, she tragically passed away due to a tragic fentanyl overdose. The sad case of Tata Miller is another video for a whole other day, but she's a prime example of someone who seemed to have everything, but still felt like she had nothing in the end. I mean, for God's sake, her father's fucking Master P, a rap icon, and he definitely provided a really lit lifestyle for her and all of his kids. But unfortunately, her mental illness, PTSD, and anxiety was still pretty hard to deal with. Mental illness also does not care about
finances. I forgot what he said exactly, but he was talking shit and basically saying that, no, this is not what y'all think it is. And he was not providing, as a father, something. I'm definitely paraphrasing, but I vaguely remember that.
Ability and privilege. And
people just automatically think because you have a relative that's famous or rich or whatever, that automatically means that you live a life of ease and you ain't got to do shit. That is not true. A lot of these people, they be real stingy with their money. They don't really want to help out their kids or give them money like that. I mean, some of them spoil them, but some of them don't.
And that, hence why his daughter pushed him away, no matter how much pressure he put on her to be, quote unquote, a better and normal person.
Look how he looks.
Let me talk to you, Tata.
What is this show?
We've been dealing with Tata and her situation forever. And this time, it's truly life or death. This is a huge step for her to talk to my father. You know how many times we've been through this? I tried to help you last time. Oh, now you're telling me you want to move back. You think it's just that easy? Like, this is not fun and games. You know what I'm saying? Like last time, you was with me and we went through this. Remember, I took you to go get the drug test. You lied to me. So I had to get the people to hair test you. I don't want to go through that.
Alright.
You know what I'm saying? So if you're going to be here with me, you're going to abide by my rules. You can't mess with none of these friends that you've been hanging out with, you know, because your friends doing drugs.
Yeah.
Doing drugs is horrible. But you know, Dr. Dre's son died in this house. I don't want that to happen to none of my kids. In this house, you're going to have to do what's right. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Symphony said that you wanted to go to a rehab. Are you serious about that? Like, I'm not wasting time and money. You serious about changing your life? Nothing wrong with a parent staying on their kid for you want to see them with a better life. Especially with me, I want my kids to have a better life than me. Everybody deserves a second chance. One thing I don't want you to do from this day on is lie to me, right? Don't lie to me about none of this. Don't lie to me about your friends. I care about you. If something happened to you, guess who won't be there? Who always there?
My father.
Okay. Wow. That's my dad. His brother just died. People are dying. This man had cancer. Gone just like that.
Fake, but RP.
And you throwing your life away. Addictions can kill you. Whitney Houston and her daughter died so young. I gotta get through to her once and for all before it's too late. Do you want something out of life?
I do.
Then I need to see that you want to change. I need to see that you want something out of life. I need to see that you're serious. And if you can't do that, then I'm cutting off everything.
Tata Miller, Master P's daughter, made an appearance on the show Growing Up Hip Hop to support her brother and her father Romeo. And basically, she went on the show to basically promote their legacy, to promote whatever she had going on. And also, they pretty much exploited and used her mental illness and her drug issue as a way to make good television. Mm-hmm. And honestly, Master P still to this day gets a lot of backlash for this. Because even then, people were looking at him like he was crazy because of the way he was talking to her. But also, it was really unfortunate because she ended up passing away a few years after that.
Hip-hop mogul Master P is mourning the death of his daughter, Tatiana. He posted on Instagram overnight saying, quote, "We appreciate all of the prayers, love, and support. Mental illness and substance abuse is a real issue that we can't be afraid to talk about."
5 months following the 29-year-old's death, the Los Angeles coroner confirmed she died from fentanyl intoxication, confirming reports that she died as a result of drugs.
We put God first. Without that man up above, we wouldn't be here.
And of course, we had to talk about Miss Jamie Foxworth. I'm pretty sure y'all remember that little girl from Family Matters that was at the height of her career, and then out of nowhere she disappeared.
I don't remember.
Jamie Foxworth is an American actress and singer who is most notable for her role on Family Matters as Judy Winslow. Jamie Foxworth spent a portion of her childhood in St. Louis, but her mother noticed that Jamie and her sisters had a strong calling for entertainment. So she decided to move her entire family to Los Angeles, California to fully help her daughters tap into their full potential. And by the time Jamie was 8 years old, she was signed to a prestigious agency and starred in several commercials. Jamie Foxworth was randomly casted as a replacement on the show Family Matters to play Judy Winslow because one of the cast members could no longer fulfill her duties. As we all know, they pulled a reverse My Wife and Kids, and if y'all didn't know, the original Judy Winslow was some little light-skinned girl. Jamie Foxworth appeared on the series for the first 4 seasons, and she infamously became known as the Winslow child that was sent to her room on punishment, and viewers never saw her again after that episode. However, it became really clear that she was fired. It did become abundantly clear that she was fired when Steve Urkel became a main cast member by season 5. Now, if you guys didn't know, Steve Urkel plays a very big role on why the show stopped being about a middle-class black family and started to basically be centered around him, his love life, and what he had going on. And it was never supposed to be that way. Steve Urkel caught the network's attention, and many viewers loved him in the few episodes he starred in, so they never decided to go in a different direction, and essentially, they fired her. Jamie and her sisters still pushed to find more work in Hollywood, but due to the constant rejection and her family trying to remain in Los Angeles, Jamie eventually did go back to school, and she went on to live a normal life in her teen years. However, that was the beginning of the end of her entertainment career. So if you guys didn't know, Jamie Foxworth and her sisters also started a girl group where basically they sang R&B music, but unfortunately they never really saw any mainstream success. So of course in the late 90s they eventually threw that to rest. So of course, Jamie Foxx had to come up with different ideas. After constant auditioning and constant traveling, trying to find work that she could actually approve of, she eventually turned over to the adult film industry where she became a porn star.
I was trying to connect the dots, like, wait, I remember something negative associated with her name. That
went under the name Crave. She was upset that she couldn't find any work, and she was upset at the fact that she was in survival mode. She even spoke on her YouTube channel that a big reason why she did a lot of things that she did when she was younger, and again, she never really wants to talk about her adult industry life back in 2000. On her YouTube channel, she did discuss exactly why a lot of child stars like her, for example, go downhill and go crazy and completely lose themselves because they're trying to put on an image that they know the world wants to see, but it's not them. And being fake drives you crazy after a while.
And we went somewhere, and you know, I had the usual people that would ask me, hey, can I get a picture and all that? But then there was also the ones that were like, hey, you know, you look familiar. Are you that little girl from? And I would be like, no. Just because I did not want to be, you know, bothered with that. And, you know, I was 10 years old. I caught an attitude before, but I was just like, I saw all the eyes on me and everybody was like waiting for me to get dunked. So that made me even more nervous and more shy and more like, I want to get out of here. And I just went off. I was like, hey, get me out of here. Like, I was crying and all that. And my sisters never seen me like that before. So they were like, girl, chill out. But that was my first case of, you know, being overwhelmed with, you know, so many eyes on me, whatever. I say all that to say, because when you're going through that and you're a little kid turning into a teenager, you tend to go places and do things that can help you relieve that. So a lot of these child stars will go, you know, to clubs and they'll party, and they may get into drugs and, you know, all of that just because they're trying to escape. They're trying to escape that life, and they just want to, they want to feel normal in a sense. And then from that, you know, after you take so many drugs, it becomes an addiction. And then from the addiction, you need to, the money that you're making, you got to pay for the addiction. So it's just, you know, it's all of that spirals. A lot of times these kids are trying to live up to what people think that they're supposed to be or who they're supposed to be. So a lot of these teenagers, they're, you know, spending their money all crazy because they feel like that's how they're supposed to, that's their image, that's how they're supposed to come across.
She went down a very odd path, and unfortunately she hung around a lot of very dark and negative people. Jamie Foxworth suffered from severe anxiety even as a child because she claims that she's very sensitive to energy and she's always been shy. Jamie made it abundantly clear that she was never interested in the idea of going back to a regular job. But for those of you who don't know, that's the reality for a lot of stars and entertainers. A lot of them have to go back to working regular jobs. A lot of these reality stars y'all see on Love and Hip Hop, on movies, TV shows, when there's no work or there's a season where things are dry or their contract is over, a lot of them have to go back to their bartending jobs. Some of them have to utilize their degrees. Some of them got to, you know, do something strange for some change. And a lot of them have to do what they can to support themselves because a lot of them don't come from rich families that will support them. So a lot of actors have to do what they got to do if work fizzles out. At the time, Jamie claimed she was intoxicated and feeling pressured by her boyfriend to come up with some cash. During that time, Jamie claims her self-esteem was just completely to the floor. Jamie even stated that she remembered feeling ridiculous and degraded after making a porn film, but she never thought anyone would find out, at least not for a few years. Jamie endured tons of backlash and public scrutiny in the media and responded to a lot of the backlash back then.
How wouldn't they find out if you wasn't open online?
Trying to be rebellious. She was
if you out on the street and people randomly recognize you, why wouldn't you think that you being uploaded to the internet, the World Wide Web, that there wouldn't be at least a few people who be like, hey, I recognize this face. It's the little girl from Family Matters.
Make a statement because she grew up in a strict household and with an overprotective mother. In 2008, Jamie appeared on season 1 of VH1 Celebrity Rehab, where she delved into her addiction and discussed how her reliance on marijuana affected her life, her relationship with her family, and the opportunities she always wanted.
I've changed my life once, so I think it's time for me to change my life again. My decision is to not go into sober living, and I will do outpatient treatment.
Excellent.
I want to do outpatient to keep me on track.
Fantastic. Still proud.
A few weeks after her appearance on the show, she eventually decided to go on the reunion and she decided to apologize to everybody on TV for her negative actions. And she even went on to say that she did try to stay clean for a while, but she did slightly relapse. Then this was also the era of Paris Hilton, where the media was always on her case, but unfortunately compared to Paris Hilton and Jamie Foxworth, Paris Hilton was glorified for it. Jamie made it very clear that after she got pregnant, she promised God during prayer that if she had a healthy son, that she would completely change her life and completely turn things around.
Is 2 months old. How are you going to be able to smoke weed
and occasionally drink and still be able to function day to day and make bottles and give them nap time and baths and all that. I made a prayer to God and I was like, if you just give me the healthiest son, I will stop today. And I stopped.
Now, Jamie Foxworth hasn't really done anything since, and she clearly isn't really working, but she is a stay-at-home mom, and she now currently runs a YouTube channel with her sisters, and she has her own personal YouTube channel where she talks about her life as an actress, where she's going in life, and she vlogs her daily life.
I've been saying this for years. I think that there should be some sort of organization for child stars, and it might sound crazy, but there's, I mean, come on, it's a lot of them that have went downhill. And I think that there should be somewhere a therapy group that they can go to.
I thought that's really traumatizing for kids. I side-eye these parents. These parents are sick. And you can argue that some of them may not know what it entails, but how about you look into it and research it? This is your fucking child. So maybe you should actually look into what this industry entails. And open your goddamn eyes. A lot of them turn a blind eye to shit that they would see because they're like, we want this money. So I just feel like there's a lot of sick, twisted things that go on that the parents excuse.
I think that this should have been done years ago, before my time, like when there was Happy Days and all that. I think certain people from different shows that can relate to that, they should all come together, do an organization, and usher these people in to let them know, hey, this is what...
Or abandon the job altogether. We using AI. Let's use AI for good. Use AI children on all these fucking shows and movies. Because there's no reason that a child should be on set with these adults and working these long hours. I think that's very wild. I don't know how that's even excused, how it's acceptable, how it's normalized. I think that's really fucked up. I think AI children should be a thing. All right?
I did when times were bad.
Use little people and then AI some children faces over their faces. That's what you do. Or CGI, I don't know, work it the fuck out. Y'all have done stranger things and crazier things. Do it.
That's how you can get out of it. This is how you build up your self-esteem. Whatever it is, I've always thought that there should be an organization like that.
Then we have Gary Coleman. Gary Coleman, as we all know, was the shit back in the 1970s for his role in his series, Different Strokes.
Is he alive?
Gary Coleman was literally everywhere at one point. Commercials, food commercials, cameos in TV shows. He was the, wisecracking, humorous little boy with a distinct demeanor that gave him an edge. But sadly, Gary Coleman, for those of y'all who didn't know, even though he was a lit-ass actor back then, and most of us could even look at him as a legend, Gary Coleman lived a very hard life because he suffered with a lot of severe health issues since the day he was born. Gary Coleman was born with a defective bladder, which ultimately damaged his right kidney. Gary sadly underwent his first kidney transplant at 5 years old, and that kidney lasted about 9 years.
Hi, I'm Gary Coleman, Gift of Life Chairman from the National Kidney Foundation, and I'd like to tell you about a kid from Zion, Illinois. When he was 5 years old, his kidneys failed, but he's alive and well today because he had a kidney transplant. That's why he wants you to give generously to your Kidney Foundation. You'll help support research into the causes and cures of kidney disease, a major killer in America. I know, because I'm that kid.
He had to get another kidney transplant by the time he was like 16 years old. And it sadly even led to his growth being stunted, which prevented him from growing past 4'8". His parents, who, if y'all didn't know, adopted him when he was like 1 year old, were not the best parents to him. They essentially used him as a cash cow because Gary Coleman blew up overnight. He was incredibly successful and he was a big deal. But what was sad is his parents sadly kind of used him as a show business baby. Kind of similar to the relationship Michael Jackson had with his parents. They didn't let him have a regular childhood. So because he didn't have a regular childhood, he didn't really know what it was like to connect with people who didn't want anything from him. His cast member and longtime friend Todd Bridges even stated in interviews that while Gary was having health issues on set, his parents would still force him and pressure him to finish his obligations and still get work done.
Oh my God.
Could you imagine being in his position and being a sick kid, not feeling well, and your parents are forcing you to work? Mm-hmm. I remember seeing him, there was a day that I was like 13 years old, and this is when he was rejecting a kidney again, and they actually had this boy on the set working. He was throwing up, deathly ill, it looked like he was death warmed over, and I started crying because I couldn't believe his parents were forcing him to work. Oh, no. And because there was one time when I was sick, I had like 102 temperature, and my mom took me home and said, "You're not working today." And the actual studio called and told my mom if she didn't get me back to the set, I was going to be fired.
And many people on the set were very disheartened, but never said anything. But unfortunately, as the 80s started to come to an end, Gary Coleman struggled to find substantial and lucrative work that could support him in the lifestyle that he was
throwing
accustomed
up
to.
your parents like
now,
anyway.
Must I remind y'all, Gary Coleman was
action.
literally making damn near $70,000 an episode. So he was doing really well and eating very nice. Gary Coleman should have had approximately $18 million in his trust fund by the time he was at least 17 years old. However, when Gary Coleman, right before his 18th birthday, decided to figure out how much money he had to rely on, Gary Coleman found out that his parents and accountants had essentially robbed him of his trust fund in order to pay for their fancy vacation, and they even had many failed investments. Now, his dusty-ass parents did address it, and they did address the fact that he squandered his wealth, and when they were grilled about it in an interview several years later, this is basically what they did to gaslight the situation.
After all, like I said, when Gary turned 18 years old, we would, you know how you do a horse? We would put out the pasture, okay? And so Gary took on a whole new branch of individuals that wanted to manage his career and also manage his money. So like I said before, what we, as the final figures, we turn over to him. What happened then, I don't know, but for the case, you know, that we posted in laws, you know what that was all about? Yeah, I explained to you. That was about a balloon, you know, a bond that we had set aside in case Gary had a guy kidnapped. You know, okay, that's how that all come about. We had nothing to, you know, to give up. We had nothing, you know. We left California. Everything we had.
She don't understand. So she's trying to cut you.
Our pension plan that we had accumulated by working for Gary, you know, everything. I even had to sell my Abbott stock, which was 7,000 shares, and also my Baxter stock, which was 3,000 shares, in order to try to maintain and keep afloat.
Yes, I understand what you're saying. I'm just wondering why you didn't go on television to defend yourselves, because people were throwing a lot of bad accusations. You heard Todd Bridges, and the conventional wisdom for many years was that he was estranged from his parents because they stole his money, they mismanaged his money. And no one ever heard from you.
You know, we didn't really have anything to defend ourselves from. We did not take anything from Gary, and he knew that, and we didn't need to go on television and say, you know, we didn't or we didn't.
And sadly, Gary's dusty-ass parents unfortunately left him with $200,000 in his trust fund, and he famously sued them in the year 1989, but he only got like $1 million. He had to find a way to stretch that for as much as he could because he did have court and attorney expenses to pay off because of his parents refusing to give him more money. Gary Coleman also had to file for bankruptcy in the 90s because his taxes and expenses became all too much to handle. Having health issues, having your mental health in shambles, and having the fact that the whole world is in your business and in your family feud, that made Gary Coleman hate fame. And Gary Coleman has said on numerous occasions that he hated being a celebrity, that he did not want to be famous, and he wished he could do things differently by not being famous at all.
Interview last night, you said if you could do it over, you would not want to be a child star.
No, I don't think I would do that. I'd still be in Zion, Illinois. I'd probably be working at Kmart or Wendy's.
No, are you serious?
Oh, I love Zion. I miss Zion.
But why wouldn't you? You wouldn't want to do this again? Be on TV?
If I could do it again, I'd do it very differently and hopefully a whole lot better. If someone had told me that my life would have been like this early enough where I could have got out, I would have got out. I said, no, you know, I want to go and have a normal life and have friends.
That's very tough. I said, the hell with the show business career.
Yeah, it's a half kid because I still think about that. That's something that I fantasize about because now here we are in 1993, 25 years old. I'm a world-renowned celebrity. There's no place I can go where no one doesn't know.
And because Gary Coleman was broke, struggling, and didn't have much money, he was silent about it for a very long time. The 90s and 2000s was the era where we saw Gary Coleman doing so many ridiculous commercials, where one minute he was in a bug commercial, the next minute he was in a random food commercial, the next minute he was doing insurance commercial.
I love you, Cash Call. Cash wired right in my account. No one would lend me any money. Not even my relatives. So if you need cash, call 877-860-CASH.
And financial investment commercials and so much more just to support himself. And by the time he was in his early 30s, Gary Coleman was severely broke. to the point where he had to take on a job at Blockbuster, and he even worked as a security guard in Los Angeles.
When he showed that clip, I'm like, oh, what show is this? I was thinking he was a security guard on a show.
No matter how much he tried to be normal, it seemed like everybody saw him as a
But why would you...
Whatever. Sign or as that kid on a TV show. It was just nothing.
Because who is he protecting? No shade, but I don't understand the concept.
He hated his parents for it, which ultimately led to him cutting them off. And he never spoke to them ever again. Gary Coleman, as we all know, was always thrown in the media, was always talked about in the media, not just for his acting world, but also for a lot of his bad behavior that was really bad for his image. Now, as his health started to deteriorate and as his skin started to deteriorate, he even had moments where he had a tendency to be very violent towards people, which didn't help anymore from the aspect of him not getting any work.
This police mugshot of actor Gary Coleman gives a far different image of the once lovable pint-sized child star. Police in Utah arrested the 41-year-old when he failed to appear in court on a warrant. He was booked into jail Sunday. Jail records show he was arrested after police received reports of a disturbance at his home about 65 miles south of Salt Lake City. In a separate case, Coleman was arrested in 2008 after a man claimed Coleman tried to run him over in a parking lot when he tried to take a picture with him. Coleman pleaded no contest to disorderly conduct and was ordered to pay a $100 fine. The actor has made a number of cameo appearances in recent years and even ran for governor of California.
What?
But has never regained the success of his early TV work.
He was rude to people on set, he was rude to fans that asked for pictures, and he was rude to people who asked for autographs. And it was all because he was struggling financially. And anyone watching this that has ever struggled financially knows how badly that can affect your mental health and how you view people. One of Gary's most infamous scandals was back in 1998. Gary Coleman was charged and investigated for assault and battery for literally punching a female fan in the face after she asked for an autograph. Now, essentially, a woman inside of the store he worked at and was doing security for asked Gary Coleman for an autograph, and he agreed with an attitude back in 1998.
Did Mr. Coleman have a response when Ms. Fields asked for the autograph?
He had a long sigh, and he walked over and signed the piece of paper that she had.
Do you remember what he signed?
Just his name.
After signing this autograph, what did Mr. Coleman do?
He walked back to his original place.
Was there any further discussion between Ms. Fields and Mr. Coleman?
Yes, she asked if he was going to write something additional on the autograph.
Girl!
What did Mr. Coleman do at that point?
He walked over.
Nah, she was taunting him because no fucking way. If you see he clearly has an attitude and he doesn't even want to sign the autograph for you to be like, hey, come back. You gonna add to this autograph? You only gonna put your name? I want a message too. Like, you are doing the most, lady. Not saying she deserved to get assaulted because she did not, but girl.
He picked up the autograph and tore it up and threw it in the trash.
Okay. Anything else?
And then what happened?
Okay. And do you recall what did Ms. Fields respond?
She said, why would you say that?
And did he respond?
He said, all you want to do is show it off to your friends.
What year was
Did she have a response for that?
She said, no, I want to go. He made a statement, the next statement.
What was his statement?
He said something to the degree that he wasn't acting anymore. He wasn't an adult actor. And then she said something, because of his attitude, his demeanor, on how he was going about doing this. She said something to the fact that that's the reason why he's not a successful adult actor.
Did Mr. Coleman make any actions?
Yes, he made a statement. He said, fuck you, lady. That's why I don't like people like you.
Okay. What did you do at that point?
Then he hurriedly walked, almost like a trot, ran over to her area where she was standing and jumped up and socked her in the face.
Oh,
the entire situation
he had to
was
jump
really bad
up and
for
sock
Gary
her.
Coleman, and a lot of people didn't want to take a chance working with him because of his bad attitude. He served a suspended sentencing, which means he still had to do his time even out of jail, had a probation officer, and he even paid for the woman's medical bill. Gary Coleman was just making things more difficult for himself as time went on, and it was all because he was simply miserable. Gary underwent more stress after he married his wife, Shanell Price, whom we all know might have been the reason why Gary Coleman died. Now, most of you guys know that Gary Coleman died in a very vulnerable state. He had a lot of kidney issues, he had a lot of illnesses, and he had underwent so many seizures. Now, if y'all know anything about Shanell Price was a woman that he met on a movie set one year back in the mid-2000s. And essentially, he met her, he had a crush on her, eventually it turned into a committed relationship, and they eventually got married 2 years later. And of course, this woman made his life a living hell. She was incredibly toxic. She was overbearing. Now, even though Gary Coleman was overbearing too, as you can see in this clip.
You know what? If people would want to believe that I assault my wife at 4'7" and she's 5'6", then they can believe that all day long. I don't care.
You jumped up to punch that lady. Don't use that. You could use your hops to attack. Let's stop acting like, oh, the height difference is an issue, because it is not. Because I don't know if I told you. I need to stop telling my business. That's the problem. But anyway, I feel like I've already talked about this. Anyway, I probably did. I'm pretty sure I did. But me and my friend, this is when I was like 18, 19, all right? We jumped this guy only because he attacked my friend first. So he started beating my friend ass, okay, at this party that we were at. And I obviously jumped in. This dude was so little. He was so much shorter than us, but he beat the brakes off me and her. When I tell you I woke up the next day, I was so sore. Hit me all in my titties, my neck, everything, all right? He didn't catch my face, thankfully, because he was short, okay? I'm like, but... So let's stop with the height difference, all right? The gender differences are real, okay? He beat both of us up. And I listen, I can handle myself when it comes to other women. But that's the time I fought a dude and I was like, oh, never again. I stopped being friends with her too. I was like, bitch, you on your own. I'm pretty sure I told the story before. I feel like I have. But after that, I was done with her because she kept getting us into bullshit, okay? But that wasn't the first time she got us into some nonsense. But her mouth, running her mouth and, like, you know, trying to get in this dude's face or whatever she was trying to do. And he took off on her, started beating her ass. And I'm just like, oh, shit. Gotta jump in. It's my friend. And we jumped him technically because it was 2v1. But he beat both of her ass. So I said all that to say, fuck out of here, Gary Coleman, RIP, but fuck out of here with this statement.
Not deny it then, right here, because otherwise everyone's going to look at this and say he's waffling around and he probably...
I don't condone violence, by the way. All right?
There is no abuse that goes on.
I'm not proud of that.
I don't waffle. Now, if people believe that I'm waffling, then they can go do what they need to do.
Did you abuse your wife? Did you abuse her? Did you lay your hand on her?
And you know what? You can go the same place.
Oh. Did you lay your hands on your wife, Gary Coleman? Because she says
drown
you did.
yourself in the ocean.
She says you did.
You know what?
Oh.
I have this on my head because I fell down the stairs. I don't want people thinking that my wife is abusing me.
Why don't you want to answer the question about whether you abused your wife and everything else? Pardon me?
You can go yourself.
Really?
And quit asking me.
Is that the way you talk to your wife?
Yes, I have to.
Oh my God, this
to,
is ghetto.
But I don't.
Artist.
And I don't know you, and I don't care about
and
you.
And is this the kind of anger that leads to your physical assault?
Matter to me.
Let me tell you,
so
my life doesn't matter to you.
Or get hit by a bus tonight. I'm not gonna care because she's pushing my buttons, and I don't like her now. And the next thing I'm gonna do is leave. So all of you.
You should have just walked off in the first place, homie. You should have hopped off of that
Gary
chair.
Coleman, as we all know, passed away in 2010. And of course, he famously left his ex-wife and his parents nothing. He didn't leave anybody shit. Apparently, he wrote his ex-wife out of the will because he didn't trust her at all and he did not like her. But then there was a whole scandal in court after he passed away back in 2010 where basically she was trying to fight for his estate. Now, what's unfortunate is a lot of people immediately started side-eyeing her when she started fighting for his estate because, again, there were several scandals of him abusing her and her abusing him, and so many instances where the police would get called. So people were so confused as to why she wanted his estate and why, even though he divorced her, she was still living with him. What's even more confusing is the day Gary Coleman died, she claimed that Gary Coleman was trying to make her pizza rolls, and he passed away because he had a seizure after he fell down the stairs.
He was like, it's fine, I can totally go down there. And at the time, I was actually diagnosed with an inner ear problem. As he went down there, I had just a bad feeling. He wasn't feeling well, and I was like, are you sure that you feel good enough to go down there and make, you know, those put those pizza rolls in the microwave? And he said, yeah, I'm fine. And he got halfway downstairs and was like, are you sure you can come back up? I know that you don't feel well. You just had dialysis. It was a Wednesday. And so he had gone downstairs and I was in bed, just laying there, feeling miserable, feeling awful, feeling just helpless, like I couldn't do anything for myself. And that's the worst feeling that anyone could go through. And then all of a sudden I just hear this, it sounded like pots and pans had just fallen. Like he just got them from the stove or whatever, and they just fell. And what I did is I said Gary 3 times, and he didn't answer me, and that's when I knew something was completely wrong. I jumped out of bed, went downstairs, and he was lying there in a pool of blood. I can't tell you if he had a seizure. I can't tell you if he passed out. I don't exactly know what happened. And from then on, I felt super helpless. I cried. And that's when the 911 call came into play. And by that time, Gary was actually sitting up. And what a lot of people don't know or are aware of is that Gary was lucid enough to walk to the ambulance. He walked to the ambulance himself.
Now, obviously, he fell down the stairs, so it makes sense why it made his health issues even worse, because he was already so fragile. But what makes things even worse is people side-eyed Shannon Price, because it's very interesting how right after Gary Coleman gets admitted to the hospital, because mind you, Gary Coleman did survive the fall down the stairs. So his ex-wife Shannon, the day Gary Coleman fell down the stairs and then eventually perished and was in the hospital bed on his damn near, last breaths, she went on to do an interview with ABC. The day he was in his hospital bed, literally left his bedside to do an interview.
Overnight, I spoke with Gary Coleman's ex-wife, Shannon Price. She was at Gary Coleman's bedside when the actor passed away. And as you're about to see in this interview, she is still clearly fragile.
She arrived in a wheelchair, looking very frail, and she stayed in that chair throughout the entire interview, even having to take a break when she thought she might be having a seizure.
I've had a lot of health issues in the last 2 months. As you guys know, I recently have seizures, and I've had a lot of anxiety. I really miss my husband a lot, and I can barely get around, and I mean, it's been a trial.
But what's odd about her interview, after she did her interview, we then find out that Gary Coleman ended up not making it.
And so, with that being said as well, when my dad and I had gone there that afternoon, and he was already gone.
Which then led to a lot of conspiracy theories leading that maybe she pulled the plug on him. But according to her, she came back to the hospital and he didn't make it. But what's ironic and really weird is she literally got a lot of photos of herself and Gary while he was in the hospital bed on his last breath. And somehow, the media got a hold of it. So his ex-wife Shannon not only left him on his bedside to do an interview, she quickly came back when he was on his last breath and when she saw that he passed away, and she took photos of herself with him on his deathbed. On top of that, her manager asked her to
Who would take a photo like this as your husband is dying? A selfie with him? Girl, go to hell. This is
sick. Them, and she licensed them and monetized it.
They both had poor health. And
that's horrible.
So, but who's selling the photos? That's what I'm saying. I know people have dirty houses. If they're sick, they can't clean them. But who's selling them? Who else would have access to that house aside from Shannon?
Well, I can tell you this. The photos on the deathbed were taken by a family member. And Shannon, she would like to deal with that privately.
But it don't matter who took them.
The walkthrough of the house was basically they wanted to see the trains. They wanted to see Gary's trains.
What about the interview? Wasn't Sheila in the interview? Sheila was there when she shot the interview. I have a photo of you there with Shannon. You're telling me she didn't profit off the interview?
Shannon, she sold some photos.
The next morning?
They licensed some photos. Shannon, she sold some photos.
The next morning?
They licensed some photos, but she never made any money off of the interview. They licensed photos, that was it.
But that's what they say in show business. They never sell the interview. They always they buy the photos. It's the same thing.
But I want to clear something up.
Okay.
The photos on the deathbed, Shannon had no part of.
Who was advising Shannon to let cameras into the house, to film the blood on the floor, to do an interview 12 hours after Gary died, to sell photographs and images of his dying last minutes, posing with his dead body? I don't understand that. And Sheila, if you were with Shannon, the inappropriate behavior, if you were there, who was advising her to do this kind of stuff if she's not that bad of a person? If she loved Gary and was still with him even though she was divorced?
Okay,
let's answer. Okay, all right. Shannon did not sell pictures on the deathbed, okay? Shannon did an interview the day afterwards. Let me tell you this, it took her 3 hours
Girl,
to
shut
get in the front room
up.
to even do
Who
the
are
interview.
you?
She was so sick and throwing up in bed. She did the interview just simply because she wanted everybody to know what was going on. She didn't want to take 500
She was
interviews.
selling it.
No, she saw some.
You know what?
She
That's
licensed some
absolute
pictures.
baloney.
Well, let me finish that. Okay, you got Shannon. Gary left her with Okay, Gary left her with no money. Okay, and
What do you mean? She spent Gary's money. What are you talking about? Gary's financial health was coming back. They come together, and she
Gary's-
blows it all.
you know, you should
guess
see
what?
how
We're
much
out
Gary
of time.
loved her.
So it really shows that she really was vindictive. And mind you, Gary Coleman was in a very low vibrational, low state in his life. So of course, he didn't really have the best judgment, and he didn't really have anybody. He didn't really have any decent friends around him. He didn't really have anyone there to really support him like that. He was just a miserable old man in his early 40s who was just mad at the world. But it really goes to show you that life can happen to anybody. You could be doing so well right now at your job and making so much money right now at your job, and then they wake up one day and decide to lay you off. Or you wake up one day and you realize that business is starting to move real slow, but you still want to maintain your luxury lifestyle, and you don't have anyone you can really count on or rely on because a lot of these people are happy to see you fail, or no one really cares to do anything for you unless they get some type of benefit from it. It makes sense, and it really just goes to show you that fame really is not for everybody, because you become a dollar sign to most people, especially when they already know what you have to offer before you even open your mouth. Life really be lifing, because you really never know. One minute you think it's not you, and the next minute it is you. You really just never know where your life will go in the next 10 or 20 years. So please keep positive and good and reassuring people around you and positive vibes around you, because the first start of any illness, or the thing that makes illnesses much worse, is stress. But that's all I gotta say on that.
Wow, this was really well done. He really documented these people's stories and pulled all these interviews and shit from different places, and it's just so wild to see some of these actors fall from grace, you know? Some of them were doing really well and very popular in their roles, and then look what happened. But yeah, I just think this is a very sick industry, the child acting industry, and I think it should be banned. These kids, they're not consenting. They don't know what's going on. Like that dude with all the tattoos on his face said. He was like, you know, because the interviewer was like, oh, was it your decision to act or your parents? He's like, my parents, obviously I was a child. I didn't know what the fuck was going on. Like, it's the parents who want to push their kids into show business because they want to profit off of it, and they know it's too late for them. Like, I've always wanted to be an actor. I can't do it, so you do it. And that's so common. Even in sports, it's a thing. Didn't Michael Jordan dad admit that he pushed him to, you know, be an athlete because he wanted to be one, and he made him like do a whole bunch of wild shit. I don't remember the details exactly, but I remember it was pretty extreme. I feel like it was the same for Venus and Serena as well. Their dad was like really, you know, hard on them and pushed them into being an athlete. And I mean, it worked out for them, but I just don't think it's right to force that on your fucking children. Like, whether they become successful or not is irrelevant. It's just really fucked up to do that when they're just little people. They're not consenting to this. They're only going along with it because you're forcing them to do it. Like, that, there's something really fucked up about that. But anyway, RIP to the people who passed away in this vid, and the people who still struggling. Hopefully they get it together. So it's sad. Y'all let me know what y'all think, though. Let me know what other videos you want to watch, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye!